Welcome everybody to Williams-Brice Stadium in week one of the GoGamecocks.com college football preview show. David, I feel like we've crossed the stream somehow and gotten this 85-foot Stay Puffed Marshmallow Steve Spurrier behind us. But here we are. Week one, Texas A&M. Gamecocks are 10.5-point favorites against the Aggies, who are Johnny Manziel's. Let's talk a little bit about those Aggies. What do we know about them besides the fact that there's no more Johnny football? We know they're going to start Kenny Hill, a sophomore, played at South Lake Carroll, one of those really proud, gigantic Texas high schools. Kevin Sumlin doesn't think he's going to be overwhelmed even by this atmosphere because of what he's used to. We know they've got some freshmen who have played well this preseason in Miles Garrett and Speedy Noyle. Garrett's a defensive end that Steve Spurrier mentioned Sunday. He was trying to figure out how he was going to block him coming off the edge. We also know that defense under Sumlin has been bad. What are some of the things that you want to know that you think we'll learn about the Aggies on Thursday night?
Well, Josh, I think one of the things that you want to know is really, can Kenny Hill be Johnny Manziel? You know the offense is going to be the same. Right. They're going to stretch the field. They're going to send their receivers deep, and they have no problem with running the ball. They got a couple of very underrated running backs. I think that they know that the offense is going to be very good for Texas A&M, but the main glaring question is, can this offense run like Johnny Manziel ran it without Johnny Manziel? So it's going to be very difficult to see how Kevin Sumlin approaches that once he comes into Williams-Brice Stadium.
Right. And I think it'll be fascinating. I think that Kevin Sumlin is a good football coach, and that's been overshadowed some by Johnny football. I'll be interested to see how his offense looks without Johnny. But I know South Carolina fans are a lot more interested to know what the Gamecocks look like. This is a team that's won 33 games in 3 years. They've done it by hook and by crook, by Connor Shaw and Jadeveon Clowney and Stephon Gilmore and Melvin Ingram and Marcus Lattimore. Well, those guys are gone now. It's Dylan Thompson, it's Mike Davis, it's the Dixon brothers on the defensive line. I feel like you know that Dylan Thompson is going to be prepared to play. I feel like you know that the offensive line is going to be good. Maybe they won't know if it's going to be great, but they know it's going to be good, and you know you've got guys that can run the ball. Even if Mike Davis is banged up a little bit, they've got other guys who they think can run the ball. I think they know that those linebackers are really going to be good. I mean, they think Sky Moore is poised to have a big season. Bryson Allen Williams is a freshman who I'm interested to see how a true freshman comes in with all those linebackers they've got and looks good enough that he's probably going to start at that Bob position when they play the 3-4.
Right.
Bunch of questions, though.
Absolutely a lot of questions, Josh, particularly on the defensive end for South Carolina. The fact is they do have a true freshman at corner and Al Harris Jr. You are moving Bryson Williams, who has experience, but he's playing safety. He's going from safety to corner. And then you have a couple of other guys out there. Bryson Allen Williams will be a freshman. A lot of new starters on the line. T.J. Holloman slated to start at linebacker over Kawan Lewis. So it's a lot of questions of how this USC defense is going to be able to handle that Texas A&M offense, because no matter what, they're going to be throwing the ball, and these guys are just going to have to show up and play. It's like, look, we've practiced you, we've drilled you as hard as we can. You're just going to have to go and prove that you are what you said you are. So USC's defense has got to be the biggest question facing the Gamecocks. Even if Dylan Thompson doesn't play particularly well, they've got enough weapons on offense around him to still win this game.
And the Gamecocks come into this game pretty healthy. They got through preseason camp with only 2 major injuries. Mike Matulis is the only starter who they expect at this point to miss any significant time. They hope he comes back to at least to compete again for that right guard job by the middle of the year after spraining his knee. Jamari Smith, who was not a guy who I don't think factored into their defensive plans much at cornerback, although he did at special teams, has gone for the year with the foot injury. Be interesting to see what that rotation looks like with Cody Waldrop, with Will Sport, with Clayton Stadnick, and how they roll those guys between the center and the guard positions. I think they'll may look at a few different options Thursday night and maybe for a couple of games until they see where they're comfortable. The Aggies also, I think, are fairly healthy week one, as you would expect.
They're fairly healthy, Josh, but, on defense, where, is obviously a troublesome spot, they lost a lot of guys from last year. The only real injury that the Aggies have is to cornerback Devontae Harris. He's got a little bit of a groin problem, and he's not going to be able to play. That's still a lot of talent off the field without Devontae Harris in that Texas A&M secondary.
Which leads us to what everybody wants to know. Your prediction.
South Carolina is going to win this game. I think that they win at 35-28. Don't let that close score fool you. I think South Carolina will dominate this game and will have it well in hand. A&M will add on a touchdown to make it look respectable, but South Carolina by 7.
So David's got Sumlin covering the spread, and I do too, but I think that this is a game that's going to be ruled by offenses. I think South Carolina wins this game 42-34. I'm not sure it's quite as, you know, lopsided at the end. I think South Carolina may have to put it away themselves with that late touchdown to get to a bigger gap, to a one-score gap. But there's just no reason to think that Texas A&M's defense is going to be any better right now. We'll see how it turns out.
6:05 on Thursday. We'll see you there.
Join us 2 hours before the game for live updates, and stay with us all week for the latest on the Gamecocks.